Hey guys, it's Miss Slobodine here with Winnie again. She wanted to come and listen to the book. I will be reading some more of Wonder. This is my 6th video, so make sure you watch the other ones before you watch this one. And yeah, I will get started. So I'm gonna do a quick recap of what we read in the last video, just in case you read it a while ago. So Auggie went to school and he's been hanging out with Jack Will. So that's the friend that was really nice to him. So he's been hanging out with him and he's been eating lunch with a girl named Summer. And they kind of made a joke about having a summer lunch club because their names are both related to summer, August and Summer. And he went home after his first day and rated his first day a 5 out of 10. So not too bad, not the best. And yeah, he basically is returning back to school after his first day. And he's saying that people are starting to get used to his face, but it's taking them quite a while to get used to it. And it kind of ended with him and Jack Will making jokes about his face. And I kind of posed the question, do you think it's good that they're joking about his face? Do you think they shouldn't be doing that? But that's how we ended off. So we are starting with page 65, and it is called Mr. Brown's October Precept. Mr. Brown's precept for October was, "Your deeds are your monuments." He told us that that was written on the tombstone of some Egyptian guy that died thousands of years ago. Since we were just about to start studying ancient Egypt and history, Mr. Brown thought it was a good choice for a precept. Our homework assignment was to write a paragraph about what we thought the precept meant or how we felt about it. This is what I wrote. Before I talk about what he wrote, if you would like to, you don't have to, but if you want to, in the comments down below or on your own, you can talk to somebody at home or you can write it in a journal. What do you think the precept means? What do you think Mr. Brown's precept means? Your deeds are your monuments. Your deeds are your monuments. What do you think that means? Like I said, you can write it or you can just think it. This is what Auggie thinks it means. This precept means that we should be remembered for the things that we do. The things we do are the most important things of all. They are more important than what you say or what you look like. The things we do are our morality. The things we do are like monuments that people build to honor heroes after they've died. They're like the pyramids that the Egyptians built to honor the pharaohs. Only instead of being made out of stone, they're made out of memories people have of you. That's what your deeds are. That's why your deeds are monuments, built with memories instead of with stone. So that is what Auggie thought that precept meant. Okay, next chapter is called Apples, and it is on page 66. My birthday is October 10th. I like my birthday. 10-10. It would have been great if I was born exactly at 10:10 in the morning or at night. But I wasn't. I was born just after midnight, but I still think my birthday's cool. I usually have a little party at home, but this year I asked Mom if I could have a big bowling party. Mom was surprised, but happy. She asked me who I wanted to invite from my class, and I said everyone from my homeroom plus Summer. That's a lot of kids, Auggie, said Mom. I have to invite everyone because I don't want anyone to get their feelings hurt if they find out other people are invited and they aren't, okay? Okay, Mom agreed. You even want to invite the what's the deal kid? Yeah, you can invite Julian, I answered. Geez, Mom, you should forget about that already. I know, you're right. A couple of weeks later, I asked Mom who was coming to my party, and she said, Jack Will, Summer, Reed, both Maxes, and a couple of other kids said they were going to try to be there. Well, like who? Charlotte's mom said Charlotte had a dance recital earlier in the day, but she was going to try to come near a party if time allowed. And Tristan's mom said he might come after a soccer game. So that's it? I said, that's like 5 people. That's more than 5 people, Auggie. I think a lot of people just have plans already, Mom answered. We were in the kitchen. She was cutting one of the apples that she had just gotten from the farmer's market into teensy-weensy bits so I could eat them. What kind of plans? I asked. I don't know, Auggie. We sent out the invites kind of late. Like, what did they tell you though? What reasons did they give? Everyone gave different reasons, Auggie. She sounded a bit impatient. Really, sweetie, it shouldn't matter what their reasons were. People had plans, that's all. What did Julian give as a reason? I asked. You know, said Mom. His mom was the only person who didn't RSVP at all. She looked at me. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. That's a tongue twister. What does that mean? I asked. Never mind. Go wash your hands so you can eat. My birthday party turned out to be much smaller than I thought it would be, but it was still great. Jack, Summer, Reed, Tristan, and both Maxes came from school, and Christopher came too, all the way from Bridgeport with his parents. And Uncle Ben came, and Aunt Kate and Uncle Poe drove in from Boston, though Tata and Papa were in Florida for the winter. It was fun because all the grown-ups ended up bowling in the lane next to us, so it really felt like there were a lot of people there to celebrate my birthday. Okay, that's the end of that chapter. And my question for that was the quote, I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. What does that mean in regard to Julian and his mom? Another thing I was wondering is, why do you think Julian didn't go? And what about the other kids, all the other kids that didn't show up? Why do you think they didn't go? Do you think they were really busy, or do you think there were other reasons? The next chapter is called Halloween. At lunch the next day, Summer asked me what I was going to be for Halloween. Of course, I'd been thinking about it since last Halloween, so I knew right away. Boba Fett. You know you could wear a costume to school on Halloween, right? No way, really? So long it was politically correct. Well, like no guns and stuff? Exactly. What about blasters? I think a blaster's a gun, Auggie. Oh man, I said, shaking my head. Boba Fett has a blaster. At least we don't have to come like character in the book anymore. In the lower school, that's what you had to do. Last year, I was the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz. But that's a movie, not a book. Hello, Summer answered. It was a book first. One of my favorite books in the world, actually. My dad used to read it to me every night in the first grade. When Summer talks, especially when she's excited about something, her eyes squint like she's looking into the sun. I hardly ever see Summer during the day because the only class we have together is English. But ever since the first lunch at school, we've sat at the summer table together every day, just the two of us. So what are you going to be? I asked her. I don't know yet. I know what I really want to go as, but I think it might be too dorky. You know, Savannah's group isn't even wearing costumes this year. They think we're too old for Halloween. What? That's just dumb. I know, right? I thought you didn't care what those girls think. She shrugged and took a long drink of her milk. So, what dorky thing do you want to dress up as? I asked her, smiling. Promise not to laugh? She raised her eyebrow and her shoulders, embarrassed. A unicorn. I looked down and smiled at my sandwich. Hey, you promised not to laugh, she said. Okay, I said. But you're right, that is too dorky. I know, she said, but I have it all planned out. I'd make the head out of paper mache and paint the horn gold and the mane gold too. It would be so awesome. Okay, I shrugged. Then you should do it. Who cares what other people think, right? Maybe what I'll do is just wear it for the Halloween parade, she said, snapping her fingers. And I'll just be like a goth girl for school. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Sounds like a plan, I nodded. Thanks, Auggie, she giggled. You know what I like best about you? I feel like I can tell you anything. Yeah? I answered, nodding. I gave her a thumbs up sign. Cool beans. Okay, so that was the end of that chapter. So one thing I just wanted to point out is I think as we're reading about Summer, she seems like the type of person that doesn't really care what people think. She went and sat with Auggie, even though her group of friends were looking at her weird and asking her why she was sitting with him. But we see in this chapter that she does clearly care what people think, because she doesn't want to dress up as a unicorn, because she doesn't want to be made fun of. So we do see that she does care a little bit, at least, of what people think. So that's kind of interesting. And then why do you think Summer feels like she could tell Auggie anything? What about Auggie makes her feel so comfortable? The next chapter is a really short one. It's like literally half a page, and it's called School Pictures on page 70. I don't think anyone will be shocked to learn I don't want to have my school picture taken on October 22nd. No way. No, thank you. I stopped letting anyone take pictures of me a while ago. I guess you could call it a phobia. No, actually, it's not a phobia. It's an aversion, which is a word I learned in Mr. Brown's class. I have an aversion to having my picture taken. There, I used it in a sentence. I thought Mom would try to get me to drop my aversion to having my picture taken from school, but she didn't. Unfortunately, while I managed to avoid having the portrait taken, I couldn't get out of being in the class picture. Ugh. The photographer looked like he had just sucked on a lemon when he saw me. I'm sure he thought I ruined the picture. I was one of the ones in the front sitting down. I didn't smile. Not that anyone could tell if I had. So a little challenge for you to do is try to write a sentence with the word aversion in it, based on what Auggie said aversion was. You can write it in the comments down below if you want to, so I can see it, or you can just write it to yourself. The next chapter I'm going to read is called The Cheese Touch. And it might be the last chapter. I probably will read a couple more. The Cheese Touch, and it's on page 71. I noticed not too long ago that even though people were getting used to me, no one would actually touch me. I didn't realize this at first because it's not like kids go around touching each other that much in middle school anyway. But last Thursday in dance class, which is like my least favorite class, Mr. Atanaby, the teacher, tried to make Xmina Chin be my dance partner. Now, I've never actually seen someone have a panic attack before, but I've heard about it, and I'm pretty sure she had a panic attack that second. She got really nervous and turned pale and literally broke out into a sweat within a minute. And then she came up with some lame excuse about having to go to the bathroom. Anyway, Mrs. Atanaby let her off the hook because she ended up not making anyone dance together. Then yesterday in my science elective, we were doing this cool mystery powder investigation where we had to classify a substance as either an acid or a base. Everyone had to heat the mystery powders on a heating plate and make observations. So we were all huddled together around the powders with our notebooks. Now there are 8 kids in the elective and 7 of them were squished together on the one side of the plate, while one of them, me, had loads of room on the other side. Of course, I noticed this, but I was hoping Miss Rubin wouldn't, because I didn't want her to say anything, but of course she did notice this, and of course she said something. Guys, there's plenty of room on the other side. Tristan, Nino, go over there, she said. So Tristan and Nino scooted over to my side. Tristan and Nino have always been okay nice to me. I want to go on record saying that. Not super nice, not like they go out of their way to hang out with me, but okay nice. Like they say hello to me and talk to me like normal. And they didn't even make a face when Miss Rubin told them to come on my side, which a lot of kids do when they think I'm not looking. Anyway, everything was going fine until Tristan's mystery powder started melting. He moved his foil off his plate, and just as my powder began to melt too, which is why I went to move mine off the plate, and then my hand accidentally bumped his hand for a fraction of a second. Tristan jerked his hand away so fast and dropped his foil on the floor while also knocking everyone else's foil off the heating plate. Tristan, yelled Miss Rubin, but Tristan didn't even care about the spilled powder on the floor and he had ruined the experiment. He was more concerned about what was getting into the lab sink to wash his hands as fast as possible. That's when I knew for sure that this thing about touching me was that beach of prep. I think it's like the cheese touch in the Diary of the Wimpy Kid. The kids in the story were afraid to catch the cooties if they touched the old moldy cheese on the basketball court. At beach of prep, I'm the old moldy cheese. So at the end here, he uses the metaphor of the cheese touch to compare himself to old moldy cheese that no one wants to touch because they don't want to catch something, which is silly because you obviously can't catch what Auggie has, but yeah. Next chapter is called Costumes, and it is on page 73. For me, Halloween is the best holiday in the world. It even beats Christmas. I get to dress up in a costume. I get to wear a mask. I get to go around like every other kid with a mask and nobody thinks I'm weird. Nobody takes a second look. Nobody notices me. Nobody knows me. I wish every day could be Halloween. We could all wear masks all the time. Then we could walk around and get to know each other before we got to see what people looked like under the mask. When I was little, I used to wear an astronaut helmet everywhere I went. To the playground, to the supermarket, to pick up Via from school, even in the middle of summer, although it was too hot and my face would sweat. I think I wore it for a couple of years because I had to stop wearing it when I had my eye surgery. I was about 7, I think. And then we couldn't find the helmet after that. Mom looked everywhere for it. She figured that it had probably ended up in Grand's attic. But she kept meaning to look for it, but by then I had gotten used to not wearing it. I have pictures of me in all of my Halloween costumes. My first Halloween, I was a pumpkin. The second, I was Tigger. The third, I was Peter Pan. And my dad dressed up as Captain Hook. My fourth, I was Captain Hook, and my dad dressed up as Peter Pan. My fifth, I was an astronaut. My sixth, I was Obi-Wan Kenobi. My seventh, I was a clone trooper. My eighth, I was Darth Vader. My ninth, I was the Bleeding Scream, the one with the fake blood oozing out of the skull mask. This year, I'm going to be Boba Fett. Not Boba Fett, the kid in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, but Boba Fett, the man from the Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Mom searched everywhere for the costume, but couldn't find one in my size, so she bought me a Jango Fett costume. Since Jango Fett was Boba Fett's dad and wore the same armor, and then painted the armor green. She did some other stuff too to make it look worn too. Anyway, it totally looks real. Mom's good at costumes. In homeroom, we all talked about what we were going to be for Halloween. Charlotte was going to be Hermione from Harry Potter. Jack was going to be Wolfman. I heard that Julian was going to be Jango Fett, which was a weird coincidence. I don't think he liked hearing that I was going to be Boba Fett. On the morning of Halloween, Via had this big crying meltdown about something. Via's always been so calm and cool, but this year she's had a couple of these fits. Dad was late for work and was like, Via, let's go. Usually Dad is super patient about things, but not when it comes to him being late for work. And his yelling just stressed out Via even more, and she started crying louder. So Mom told Dad to take me to school, and that she would deal with Via. Then Mom kissed me goodbye quickly before I even put my costume on and disappeared into Via's room. Auggie, let's go now, said Dad. I have a meeting. I can't be late for it. I haven't put my costume on yet. So put it on. 5 minutes. I'll meet you outside. I rushed to my room and started to put on my Boba Fett costume, but all of a sudden I didn't feel like wearing it. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it had all the belts. Maybe because it had all these belts that needed to be tightened and I needed someone to help me. Or maybe it was because it still smelled like paint. All I know is that it was a lot of work to put the costume on, and Dad was waiting and would get super impatient if I made him late. So at the last minute, I threw on the Bleeding Scream costume from last year. It was such an easy costume, just a long black robe and a big white mask. I yelled goodbye from the door on the way out, but Mom didn't even hear me. I thought you were going as Jango Fett, said Dad when I got outside. Boba Fett! Whatever, said Dad. This costume is better anyway. Yeah, it's cool, I answered. Okay, so why did Auggie change costumes last minute? I think he gives a few reasons, but are those the real reasons? Or why do you think he decided to change costumes? And did it have anything to do with Julian going as Jango Fett? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. This chapter is called The Bleeding Scream, and it starts on page 76, and this will be the last chapter that I'm going to read for this video. Walking through the halls that morning on my way to the lockers was, I have to say, absolutely awesome. Everything was different now. I was different. Where I usually walked with my head down, trying to avoid being seen, today I walked with my head up, looking around. I wanted to be seen. One kid wearing the same exact costume as mine, long white skull face oozing with red blood, high-fived me as we passed each other on the stairs. I have no idea who he was, and he had no idea who I was. And I wondered for a second if he would have done that if he knew who was under the mask. I was starting to think that this was going down as one of the most awesome days in the history of life. But then I got to homeroom. The first costume I saw as I walked inside the door was Darth Sidious. It had one of the rubber masks that are so realistic with the big black hood over the head and a long black robe. I knew right away it was Julian, of course. He thought I was coming as Jango Fett. He was talking to two mummies, who must have been Miles and Henry. And they were all kind of looking at the door, and they were waiting for someone to come through it. I knew it wasn't a bleeding scream they were looking for. It was a Boba Fett. I was gonna go and sit down at my usual desk, but for some reason, I don't know why, I found myself walking over to a desk near them, and I could hear them talking. One of the mummies was saying, "It really does look like him." "Like this part especially," answered Julian's voice. He put his fingers on the cheeks and the eyes of the Darth Sidious mask. "Actually," said the mummy, "what he really looks like is one of those shrunken heads. Have you ever seen those? He looks exactly like that. I think he looks like an orc." "Oh yeah, if I looked like that," said Julian, kind of laughing. "I swear to God, I'd put a hood over my head every single day." "I've thought about this a lot," said the second mummy, sounding serious, "and I really think if I looked like him seriously, I think that I'd kill myself." "You would not," answered Darth Sidious. "Yeah, for real," insisted the same mummy. "I can't imagine looking in the mirror every single day and seeing myself like that. It would be too awful. And getting stared at all the time." "Then why do you hang out with him so much?" asked Darth Sidious. "I don't know," answered the mummy. "Tushman asked me to hang out with him at the beginning of the year, and he must have told all the teachers to put us next to each other in all our classes or something." Who do you think's talking right now? The mummy, I knew I wanted to run out of the class right then and there, but I stood where I was and listened to Jack Will finish what he was saying. "I mean, the thing is, he follows me around. What am I supposed to do?" "Just ditch him," asked Julian. I don't know what Jack answered because I walked out of the class without anyone knowing I had been there. My face felt like it was on fire while I walked down the stairs. I was sweating under my costume and I started crying. I couldn't keep it from happening. The tears were so thick in my eyes I could barely see, but I couldn't wipe them through a mask as I walked. I was looking for a tiny spot to disappear into. I wanted a hole I could fall inside of, a little black hole that would eat me up. Okay, so that is the end of that chapter, and that was page 78 where I ended off. So what are your thoughts on what just happened? What are your thoughts on what Jack Will just said? Do you think he means it, or do you think he was saying that for a different reason? And if so, why do you think he said that? That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's see, Winnie's sleeping here right beside me. She's enjoying the book too. Look how cute you are. She's so tired. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe and have fun. See you in the next video.